Right, let's just highlight how rare it is for Saka to be playing centrally. Here are his percentage of minutes played by position. This is across his Premier League career, going back to his Premier League debut on New Year's Day 2019. Now, when he came through, he played sometimes in midfield, but a lot of the time as well, he came through as a starter at left-back. Remember those days? 6% of his time on the field was spent at left-back during his Arsenal Premier League career so far. He has obviously grown to become one of the best wingers in Europe on that right-hand side. But does his skill set also translate to playing number 10? There it is there, highlighted. Just 1% of his minutes played in the Premier League have been from that position. We have to rewind the clock to 2021 to have a look at him starting at number. He's involved in the move that almost creates an opportunity. The ball comes across the box and eventually cleared position, something that he will have to use going forward. Lets the ball run across his body here and he's away at the back four or back five of Sheffield United. Lacazette has the ball, plays it back into Saka, but he can't quite convert into a shot. That match at Bramall Lane, by the way, was actually game week 31 of that Premier League season. So what I've done is I've collated all the players to receive passes between the lines from game week 31 just to see where Bukayo Saka ranked. He was actually one of the top performers that game week. Neil Maupay of Brighton, top of the list, alongside Kelechi Iheanacho as well. The Chelsea pair back then of Kai Havertz and Christian Pulisic next on the list. Bukayo Saka's there with 10 passes received between the lines, actually ahead of Bruno Fernandes that game week as well, showing a little bit of quality from that number 10 position. Mikel Arteta also talked about getting Saka closer to goal. So might he, playing in that position of number 10, getting himself a little bit closer to goal, help with a scoring run, because he's currently on the longest run without a goal in his career at 15 appearances. Would a change of position then generate a bigger goal-scoring return for Bukayo Saka? Matt, what do you think? Could it be something long-term? Could it be something just to help Arsenal with injuries at the moment? What do you think?
Probably looking at his attributes as a footballer, you can play him anywhere across the front line. Listening to his manager there, Arteta, talk about he's closer to the goal when he receives the ball in central areas. I understand that. He's intelligent. A lot of the clips you've shown there where he's dropping or he's standing still, which is a tough thing to do as a footballer. Knowing that you're going to create space just by standing still, it's hard. But he's clever enough to do that. Look, we know how wonderful he can receive the ball out wide, come in on his left foot and curl one in the top corner. We've seen it so many times, whether that be playing for England or whether that be playing in the Premier League for Arsenal. But do I look at him now and go, could he play that position? Most definitely. He has all of the key attributes you would want from a player. He receives the ball really well under pressure. He can wriggle in tight spaces. He's got constant awareness of what's around him. He can play bounce passes. What I like is, because he has that forward-thinking mentality on a pitch, he will give it and try and get the other side of players as well. You're difficult to mark when you play that position well. I think the problem has been previously as a number 10, not necessarily with him, is that it used to be a luxury position. It's a position ultimately on a football pitch where you are judged by goals and assists. That's it. His numbers won't be where and aren't where he wants them to be this season. Therefore, does this give him an opportunity, if his manager chooses to use him in that position, to get his numbers back to where he wants to? Yes, it does. Yeah, and you touched on a point, actually, that's just occurred to me around him cutting inside and shooting. Goals from outside the box. I think Saka's got 5 goals from outside the box across his Premier League career. Of Arsenal in the Premier League, the only current player to have more goals from outside the box is Martin Odegaard. And certainly when I looked about a month or so ago, we've seen the share of goals from outside the box going up. I don't know whether that's come down in the last couple of weeks or not, but when I last looked, it was certainly going up. And I just wonder whether that's an extra weapon, because a lot of managers are talking about how do we break down low blocks, teams sitting on the edge of their own penalty area, and another weapon that Saka has is being able to shoot and score from outside the box, and getting him into those positions seems like a great idea. I think it's utilising the players that you've got at your disposal. That's what good managers do. We're not, aware of all the conversations that Arteta has with his players. This might have been something they've spoken about for the last 2 or 3 months, and it just happens to be that with an injury, that we've gone, right, we're going to put you in there, Saka, and we're expecting you to do X, Y and Z. Look, football can be that simple at times, but I look at him, he's an outstanding footballer, outstanding receiver of the ball, always wants to score goals, always wants to get shots off. But also, if you look at his career, he's a good assist maker as well. So, look, he has every attribute to play there. Whether or not he continues to play there, well, that will be up to him, because you get given an opportunity as a footballer to play. Whether he keeps that shirt won't be down to anything other than himself and performing. But look, Arsenal have got phenomenal options at the top of the pitch. You touched on it. Most teams, when they play Arsenal, get themselves in a mid to a low block. When that happens, invariably, the gaps between the units you're talking about become condensed. Therefore, you might need a number 10 to break a line from deep and get beyond the back players. Or it might be the lines are condensed, but he can receive the ball in there because that's the skill that he has. Arsenal need to start winning games. We're aware of that. In the Premier League, they haven't picked up the amount of points that they would want to out of their last 6 games. The manager's tried something. Will it work? Will he try it again? He dropped Eze slightly deeper. You know, I think he got 2 assists, at least 1 assist in the game in the FA Cup that they won. So he's got wonderful options. He's in a good position at the moment, top of the league, with phenomenal footballers at the top of the pitch.
You say options, it feels like they do have these injuries that keep popping up here and there. Havertz out again now. Calafiori, of course, we saw in the warm-up over the weekend as well. Do you believe, because all the talk this season has been about how they've got this incredible strength and depth now, and that's why they're in the position they are in, but do you think they can continue to fight on what forefronts?
Well, the one thing Arsenal have done this season, remove the attacking prowess that we're talking about, is they don't really give goals away. They're exceptional at defending. And you look at that, and I look at all the teams that I played in, and all the good teams that you play in are based around your defensive structure and shape. Well, Arsenal's is very good. They defend their goal, the frame of their goal, exceptionally well. They've then got players at the top of the pitch who can win them games. It's difficult when you get injuries. Everybody, regardless of what team you are, up and down the country at any level will have injuries. That's why you have the strength and depth, and that's why maybe Saka is playing in a different position because of those injuries. But all I do know is that I think Arsenal fundamentally this season, while they're wonderful to watch going forward, they have scored a lot of goals from set plays. A lot of people have called them pragmatic. I think it's fantastic, personally, because he's finding a way to win football matches. It isn't beautiful every single time they win. But last time I checked, they sat top of the Champions League table. They sit top of the Premier League table. They're obviously doing something right.
But say, sort of, even with last week in mind, where they're 9 points clear at the top of the table, suddenly it feels like just like that, it's gone to 4 points between them and City. Just from your sort of playing days, what is that like when you're kind of literally a few days later, suddenly that gap at the top has been cut and feels like, you know, the difference between 9 and 4, it's a lot, isn't it?
Psychologically, I think from the outside looking in, yes. But I know that as a player, you'd much rather that it was all in your own hands. And that is still the case. It doesn't matter. Yes, that gap has dropped from 9 points to 4. But one win in the game on Wednesday when they play, and all of a sudden, we're sat here talking about, well, it's back to 7 points. So I think psychologically there will be an air, of course, that maybe Arsenal aren't as clear favourites now as they were. But if you look at the league table, 4 points with 12 games left, if you'd have offered Mikel Arteta that and all of the Arsenal squad that at the beginning of the season, I'm sure they would have taken it.
Yeah, you mentioned the game midweek. On paper, top versus bottom should be straightforward, right?
The Premier League
doesn't work like that, does it?
Especially not the Premier League. Look, it's what we all love about the Premier League is that anybody can beat anybody. Arsenal will be huge favourites going into that game, but you look at Notts Forest, they picked up a really good point against Arsenal, right? And yes, Arsenal missed some chances in that game. Wolves will need to perform, for 8 to 10 of their players will need to perform to their maximum to give themselves a chance of getting a result. And even with that, they will have to hope that Arsenal have an off day, because when you look at it, in the clear light of day, Arsenal have a better team, they have better players, they're top of the Premier League. But Wolves, I'm sure, will want to give a good account of themselves. Rob is still fighting, right? They still got pride to play for. It's a game that I'm looking forward to watching.
And then a matter of days later, the North London derby.
Yes. Brilliant. Yeah, football is relentless, and I think that goes back to your point around on a Tuesday it's 9 points, on a Saturday it's 4. That's how relentless the Premier League is, and I think that just highlights it, that yes, they go and play Wolves on Wednesday night, and then come the weekend, it's the big North London derby, which I would imagine a lot of us will be watching.
I think we'll all be watching it, won't we? Right, so then for Arsenal, next it is a visit to Wolves on Wednesday with coverage from Molineux, live from 7:30 on Sky Sports Premier League, and then we're going to keep talking about it. We'll all be watching it, Matt. It is straight on to Super Sunday and the North London derby, with live coverage getting underway at 4 o'clock on Sky Sports Premier League.